CSS Virginia. Let's see how you do against a blockade fleet. I really don't know how this is going to go. Could be fantastic. Could be unmitigated disaster. Let's find out. Brambro back with some Grand Tactician Civil War. Our Confederate States of America CSA campaign in the 1.06, and we are well into 1862 now, and you know, stuff continues to go on. What's the first thing I want to mention here? Okay, so last few battles we've noticed with the Army of Missouri go into a battle and there's like one unit. It's an artillery battalion which starts with low morale, it's broken, and in fact it doesn't even really appear on the field. I thought what was going on there was during one of the earlier battles that particular battalion had, you know, it was formerly part of Price's force, but it had not arrived yet, and therefore kind of broke as a phantom unit and then somehow stayed that way. That's not what was going on. He had that battalion. It's perfectly fine in all respects except for one thing. That battalion was composed of Kentucky troops. And Kentucky has got 13% support. That's why that particular battalion just started broken in every battle. So I got rid of it. That unit has been disbanded. So he doesn't have that battalion, but essentially he didn't have that battalion anyway because it never showed up to fight. So on top of extremely low support, the fact remains Missouri is a Union state, and so that is affecting that army as a whole. But all the other units are pretty much able to cope with it. Alright, so that unit's gone. And I've got another artillery battalion. I just recruited it. I recruited an Arkansas artillery. Say that 5 times fast. Recruited an Arkansas battery into the 1st Engineers just so that they'll arrive a little bit quicker, and as soon as they show up I'm just going to transfer it right up to them. And that shouldn't take all that long. I think it was like a 2-week recruiting time. Well, we can look. Yeah, it's going to take 14 days for this battalion to get to Clark, and then it should just take a couple of days for this to transfer up to Price once it arrives. But that got me thinking, do I have other Kentucky brigades? And so I went through and looked through all the armies, and yeah, we do. Wasn't as careful as I probably should have been in recruiting some of these brigades, and that is one area where that quick recruit function can sometimes have some unintended, you know, consequences. Turns out there were 4 brigades. 3 of them were in the Army of Northern Virginia, and then I think there's a Kentucky brigade in the Army of Tennessee as well. I haven't... at 13%, they're essentially unserviceable. So I have not disbanded those units yet, but I have gone ahead and recruited 4 more brigades. This time paying attention to the state support. So we have an Alabama brigade, I think 2 Georgia brigades, and a South Carolina brigade coming, and they're between 2 and 3 weeks out. When they arrive, I'm going to transfer them to the relevant corps, and then we'll muster those Kentucky troops out of service. While on that topic, kind of separate but closely related, is Virginia support isn't doing hot either. Now they're at 58%, and as long as those corps We don't have any Virginia troops in the West, but we do have quite a few Virginia brigades in the Army of Northern Virginia. Go figure. Almost a corps worth. There are 6 Virginia brigades in this army, which should be about right? I mean, that's probably a pretty ballpark proportion for how many Virginia troops made up the Army of Northern Virginia. At 58%, that could cause problems, though. As long as they fight inside Virginia or on Confederate territory, I think they'll be okay. However, if we start running up here into Maryland or Pennsylvania or something, I don't know how those brigades are going to make out. Well, we'll try it out. I'm not saying, oh, I'm not going to do it now because my Virginia troops suck. I don't know. They may be problematic. They may do okay with the leadership that they've got in place, and and some of them are fairly well experienced too. So that may counteract sufficiently. We'll see how it turns out. Okay, that's enough of that. The theater situations really haven't changed very much. Things, well, let me come back to that. We are continuing with this kind of static, but intentionally so, situation in Missouri. Last episode, we just fought another battle at Springfield, Missouri. And Price and Beauregard now, the big boss is Beauregard in this theater now. They continue to do well, but you know, they're starting to see 2-to-1, maybe even over 2-to-1 odds if they get all their armies together on one go. And there was a comment that you really ought to put a second corps in Missouri. Price needs some help, and that is not wrong at all. He could use some more help. That said, it's not really what I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to keep this so that I'm committing fewer resources into Missouri than the Union is, to, you know, a little bit disproportionate to this rate. That's getting pretty bad. He's up to 180. So we're a little bit above 1.5 to 1. It's more like 1.7 or 1. Yeah, it's about 1.7 to 1 ratio in total troop numbers. Doesn't mean I'm never going to give Price any more units at all. At very least, he's got another cavalry unit coming to him from Muskogee fairly soon. But the whole idea here is to try to stay defensive, use good defensive positions, and bleed the Union in casualties in Missouri. Now, we keep getting lucky here, because even though Price is in defensive mode, and even though, as a matter of fact, just to make sure I don't mess this up while I'm thinking about it, well, I can't do it yet, because they're still technically in battle. Even though Price is in defensive mode, and even though they're attacking us, and we do keep getting defensive situations on the map we keep getting, which is deliberate because that is a good map for defending, as we've seen multiple times. Eventually, he'll probably get stuck with a meeting situation or even an attacking situation, which will be untenable. And I'm going to have to retreat him. But that's not the end of the world. You know, he may have to retreat at some point into Arkansas. And then we'll try to get him back up into Missouri. I am getting a little bit worried about his supply status. Well, he's still got good supply flow. He is low on ammunition now. He's down to 40-ish% on both small arms and... You know what, but he's still in battle. Let's see what happens when they pop out of battle here. But there is no artillery ammo in this depot to replenish his stocks. I think there's plenty of small arms ammo and everything else. But we need to come up here. Ooh, there's not much there either. Even if we come up here and capture this currently Union-held depot, there's not that much. I mean, there's some, but there's not going to be enough to put them back up to full stocks. What have we accumulated down here? Okay, there's a lot. There's a lot down here at Fort Smith. But I do not want Price coming all the way back down here just to replenish artillery ammunition. Okay, well, the whole strategy here of making this, and it's not really Springfield itself, it's this area. Even with the several supply depots in this area, I'll probably, you know, if I'm going to pursue this strategy of not putting any more troops than I have to into this army and continue fending off multiple Union armies here, at very least I'm going to have to keep them well supplied. And even though there's several depots, even the Union ones are a little depleted right now in terms of arty ammo. There's plenty of provisions up here. And we do have a lot of artillery ammo down here. And what I don't know is, if I were to put a depot kind of up in this area, right on the border, just north of Carrollton, in this area, will artillery ammo flow from this depot at Fort Smith north to the next depot? I don't know. I don't know if they work like that. Oh, that kind of looked like a supply depot icon. That's a factory. Did I build that? I don't think so. No, that's a campaign start. I'm gonna try it, and at very least, I'm going to spend the money and I'm going to put a depot down right in this area. Kind of far enough back where I think we can keep it from getting captured. But far enough forward that that's another place where Price can draw a supply without leaving Missouri. And look at here. We have an engineer unit right here in place to go do that. So let's just move him up here. Okay, so that's so that's this theater. Really not much changing here in Kentucky. Johnston's Army of Tennessee is just kind of keeping them from taking Louisville for the time being and not doing much else, which is fine. It's, you know, if the Union is inactive here, if they're not fighting in Kentucky, then they're not fighting in Tennessee either, which is the main idea for having this force here, is to keep the Federals out of Tennessee and to maintain control of the rivers in here. May get a little bit more active with him when I get a second corps into Kentucky, which is kind of slowly taking shape down here in the recruiting command. And that brings us to Virginia, where things have changed a little bit. I hadn't really noticed it. There was a commenter who did, and I had not. And the West Virginia militia, which had been up at Wheeling, but we hadn't had a sight on them for months, apparently came down through here and has moved into the heart of Virginia right behind us near Fredericksburg. So Gordonsville is a Union-controlled IIP. Fredericksburg is a Union-controlled IIP. He is sitting right here behind us on our supply lines. This bridge. Well, that's cheeky. We can't have that. So we're going to have to do something about that. Like this episode. The naval situation, we did a good bit of blockade clearing. Norfolk's been clear for a while. The battle squadron came down here and has not exactly chased this fleet away, but has beat it up enough that they are not blockading Wilmington at the moment. However, our battle squadron got pretty beat up in that fight too, so they are repairing in currently unblockaded Wilmington, and it's going to take them a while to fix themselves up. 37% on Arctic, 58%, 38% on Memphis, 36% on Hudson. So the battle squadron is not going to be combat ready for a while. Even if I pull some of these ships out, there's only there's only 3 ships that are above 80%. And I don't really have anything else over here. Well, you know what I could do is pull all the lower frigates out, let the 3 high frigates, put them back in the pool, and just put a whole bunch of brigs in here. I could do that. You know what? I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do is we'll leave these 3 in here. Now they're in the 80s, so it's still going to take a little bit of time. What I'm wanting to do is hit that fleet again before it is fully reconstituted. And I just happen to have a passel of brigs here with which I can plus this up. Alright. But they still need to bake for a little while longer. Let's get those frigates back up to 100% or close to it. Kind of a similar situation down here off Texas. Our other squad, it's smaller in the sense that these are sloops, not frigates. But the Gulf Squadron also lifted the blockade. They lost the battle, but they lifted the blockade on Galveston and Sabine Pass, so they fulfilled their function. And they're doing the same thing. They're repairing at Sabine Pass. And I think this fleet, this blockading fleet, is still over here, but is not currently blockading because of low readiness. They got beat up pretty good too. I do want to keep an eye on exactly where these blockade fleets are. There's still one over here off the Mississippi Delta, although it is never blockaded again. So I've also put together a few more little scouting squadrons just to go put eyes on blockading fleets so we see where they are and what their disabled ship status is. And over here, we have done that with Scout 1-4, came up from Tampa, managed to get close enough to see but not close enough to engage. And here is the Gulf Blockading Squadron, which is 8 ships with 126 guns. So what is that? That's about an average of about 15 guns per. So there's you know, like the others, there's probably a few big ships in here and some smaller ships. And the plan for this fleet is we have CSS Virginia plus escorts, fourth-rate steamers, cannon fodder. But CSS Virginia is getting ready here at Pensacola. And when they reach full readiness, I am going to bring them over here, and basically I just want to see if that one casemate Ironclad, essentially on its own, can wreck this fleet. Maybe it can do so easily. Maybe that's a terrible idea. I have no idea. I'm just interested to see, that's all. So we're going to try that. Hopefully this episode, we'll see how it works out. Okay. In the meantime, let's get back. Okay. So that's kind of naval stuff there. What's going on in the Blockades war. Well, before getting off naval, we do still have our 3 blockade fleets. They're out here. Now, they've got visible fleets in raiding mode. And they've got at least one that seemed to be kind of formed specifically to act against these, but they're just not doing anything. Now, what's supposed to happen? You put a fleet in raiding mode. Like when the player does this, it goes into raiding mode, and not only is it in that stance to go attack a blockading fleet and kind of like raid it. That's why they're called raid mode. It's not commerce raiding, it's raiding against a blockade fleet, and they're supposed to kind of go in there and target the smaller ships, and whittle down a blockade fleet. And when you put one of these things in the raiding mode, what's always happened for me when I do that is any blockade fleet within this fleet's combat command radius, even if it's not spotted, this fleet should be making a beeline for this blockade squadron and making that attack. That's what happens when I put my fleets into raid status, and for some reason, so the AI has formed the fleets, has put a few little ships in it, which is appropriate, and put them in the correct stance. And for some reason, this raid stance is not working for the AI the way it does for the player. So it's not really a, quote, AI issue per se in terms of its response to a blockade. It's, for some reason, the AI fleets are just bugged. There's something preventing them from functioning the same as a player fleet would do under the same circumstances. So that's something that needs to go on their to-do list for naval fixes. Okay. Alright, enough about all that. It is time to go chase the West Virginia militia out of Virginia. And as soon as... Well, first we do have to defeat them. I don't want to put the cart before the horse. But assuming that this force is deleted, he has to retreat to a Union-controlled IIP. And kind of where he... And as soon as he goes into that retreat mode, he's going to lose his zone of control, and all of these little IIPs around here are going to be Confederate again. He's going to have to retreat a pretty long way. Either he's going to come up here into Maryland, kind of phasing through the other corps, or he's going to have to retreat over back into West Virginia. But we need to get him out of Virginia. His presence here may be a factor in why we're down to 58% in Virginia. So off we go. I'm going to use the 3rd Corps under Magruder. And the reason I'm using the 3rd Corps is even though they're a little bit smaller and don't quite have the same XP as the 1st and the 2nd Corps. This is the one corps in the Army of Northern Virginia, which does not have any Kentucky brigades in it. And so, at least I don't think they do. Let me double check that. Let me just double check that. Here's Magruder's guys. He does have Virginia troops, of course. Virginia, North Carolina, Virginia, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. Okay, he should be fine. Well, let's see. Does he have any Kentucky? Yeah, he doesn't even have any Kentucky artillery. And his cab is north. Yeah, okay. They'll be fine. Let's see. Before we go off, do we have any Springfield musketoons for Steele's cav? I don't think so. No, not enough. Yeah, we don't have. Mixed cav weapons it is for you, Steele. Alright. And that, I don't really see any reason for him to go into offensive mode. But we'll just bring him on down here and get him to engage the West Virginia militia. I don't see any reason to force march him. Now the other corps are going to reinforce. All 3 corps are going to be in the battle. That may just force him to retreat outright. But I'm just leading with the 3rd Corps as if there is a tactical battle, it'll be Magruder that takes the lead and initially engages. Meanwhile, even though that would be McClellan, I think. Even though McClellan is very close to 1st and 2nd Corps, way out of reinforcement range. None of these armies up here are going to be part of this battle. Or shouldn't be. Oh, Magruder picked up a perk there. He's already got ambulance corps, flying column. And then for 3rd perk slots, I'm going with the pontoon bridges because it has a supply efficiency buff to it, and I like that too. Well, there's a good well, let's see here. Because both armies were in defensive stance, that put us into... Initially, it's just automatically a siege battle. However, we have the option to convert this into a tactical battle if we want. But let's just see what the situation is. $11,000 infantry, 2,000 cav, 16 guns. We got a lot more guns. About the same amount, a lot more. Let's see here. It's in our favor. So I think we would win. However, it's going to drag on. It gives opportunity for the... other Union armies to possibly get involved. It does isolate our 1st and 2nd Corps. It would keep them out of the battle because they are not involved. And I don't know if I want them involved. Because I don't know if I want them pulling. I don't know if I want them pulling down here. Because that might wind up in a separate battle up here. I don't think I want that. Let's just go ahead and convert this into a tactical battle. No, both armies were in defensive stance, so I don't know what kind of situation we're going to get here. Given its location, it is almost certain to be the Chancellorsville Wilderness map, which is basically just unbroken, just completely carpeted with woods and creeks. Not very many good spots to use artillery on that map. There's a few. But, you know, not a great artillery map. Yep, here we are. Okay, we are defensive. That's a good thing. And where is our objective? It's right here. How many are there? Just the one. U.S. Ford Road. Right up in here. And where is Billy Yank's entry point? Right down here in the bottom. I don't think there's any reinforcements either side, right? Nope. Just the West Virginia militia. Let's have a look at this while I have this open. Because you can come in here and kind of get an idea of how many forces you're... Okay, so there's 2 divisions, and in 1st Division we have 3 infantry brigades and 1 cav brigade. And in the 2nd Division, there is 1 infantry brigade and 1 artillery battalion. So we're looking at 4 infantry brigades, 1 cav brigade, and 1 artillery, which does look like a full-size artillery battalion. 15 guns, 250 men, which is an estimate, right? It can't be higher than 240. And we've got 7 infantry brigades. I think we'll be fine, especially since we're in a defensive situation. Alright, so I'm going to get this all set up in here, establish our position, maybe do a little bit of scouting with the cav, and I will be back. Okay, so he's coming from here. The direct route is right up through here past the Chancellorsville Tavern to the objective. That's the most obvious route, and I think that's the one he's going to use. Let's get Magruder up here. And this is one of the few kind of open areas on the map, sort of, a little bit. So I just want him to come here. And I'm trying something different. I'm kind of reversing the usage of fortifications, because as we've talked about before, it appears sometimes that they know where the fortifications are, but they don't necessarily know where your units are, that the player's units are. And so I've just seen enough battles where I have a theory that that might be what's going on. I'm not prepared to say authoritatively, you know. So what I'm doing here is I just threw some parapets over here and here in an attempt to dissuade it's Winfield Scott, by the way, in command of that force, to dissuade Scott from coming one of these routes and to come right down here where I want him to. So this isn't the exact position because we're right on the edge of the deployment zone, but my idea is we're not going to have breastworks or whatever, but I'm just going to use the woods for cover in here. I'm going to move this division up kind of into here, and this division won't be able to, it'll probably be too far back. This is the main position here from where we're going to start engaging. This force will be in a position to kind of come up here and flank. I've got the artillery over here right now, and they're limbered up because I'm just going to move them forward a little bit and kind of get them all along in here just on the other side of this creek to fire in this direction. And these are all smoothbores. These are mostly howitzers. I think there's one battalion of maybe Napoleons in here. Anyway, that's... And then this division here, Pender's division, is really just here to have infantry somewhat close to the artillery and keep them out of trouble, if needed. And then finally, I've just got the cav on this road, and as soon as I get time rolling, I'm just going to send them up here to confirm where the Federals are and which way they're marching. Okay, so a little bit of scouting and marching to do, and I will be back. Yeah, cav just came right up in here, and they're coming as expected for now. They started way back here, apparently. I guess they didn't start right up on the edge of their deployment zone. And I had not noticed previously that we were right just a few minutes before sunset. So this is day 2, morning of day 2 already. One thing worth mentioning, I guess, is you know, this wasn't initiated as a tactical field battle, which meant that the other corps in the army are not reinforcing Magruder. It also means that Robert E. Lee is not here either. I guess what I could or should have done was move the Army HQ down to be part of the siege if I wanted that. I don't think it's a huge deal either way, though. Anyway, he's going to come on down. I do have... I kind of thought that the cav would see these guys a little bit earlier. So I have skirmishers out in various locations just for eyes. Even one sent Tolliver's skirms back here to the objective just in case they did some kind of really loopy flanking thing that I didn't foresee. But he's coming as we expected. We've got the cav and one of the infantry brigades in sight. Okay, more to follow. Okay, so the battle is kind of starting here, and kind of a divided approach. These guys kind of march down this railroad over here and have come over here. I keep forgetting that units can march along a railroad bed. Meanwhile, this one brigade and one artillery battalion kind of came to this location. And I think that's explained by this is one of the divisions and this is the other division. And they're all eventually trying to get somewhere over here. They just took different paths. But I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of wreck these forces as it is. I'm just going to push Heath right into this force. Going to advance. Meanwhile, we're going to bring the cav up behind. We'll bring that cav right up behind who is that? Manson there. Once he's engaged with the infantry in his front. Meanwhile, Pender's 2 brigades are kind of back here. Keeping these guys honest. Artillery's out of position. It is. I don't think we're going to need Anderson's division over here. Let's go ahead and bring him back over this way. A lot of marching through woods, which is kind of the way it goes on this map. Come on, Heath, get a move on. He hasn't gotten his order yet. Okay, Heath is moving now. Oh, let's get these guys unlimbered. Brought my Napoleons over here. Kind of need to move the artillery, but I don't really see great places to move them to. Here, let's see if this artillery can... Here, go there. Okay, his skirms have been driven in. Weisinger doesn't need his skirms anymore. Pull them in. Sure would be nice if these other brigades came up with you. Crap. Oh, they're doing some kind of crissy-crossy. I don't know what they're doing. Okay, Weisinger's going to need help quicker than that. Okay, now Manson's in trouble. And these brigades are getting out of the woods now. I think it's because Weisinger got into open ground faster than the other two did, is why he was able to walk out so far ahead. Yeah, Manson doesn't know what to do. Get in there. Steal. Losing men. Oh, I think that's a skirmisher. Yeah. Okay, Loring's getting engaged now. This isn't going to last too much longer over here. I hope. Should have sent ahead some skirms specifically to fire at their artillery, but it's not working out. Still did take some casualties there. Okay. Alright. Ooh, I think Sickles is trying to melee here. Tired, though. I don't think that's going to go very well for him. He's taken 200 casualties. Posey has taken 42. And Garnet... this. That's an attachment. That's just his skirmishers. Here. Where is Anderson's division? They are coming. Yeah, I don't think we're going to have much problem here. Posey's in cover. Sickles is not. Sickles is tired. Posey is not. Okay. Heath. Let's go ahead and push forward through these woods, like so. Oh, those guys are already... Oh, okay. I didn't realize we were already that close. Yeah, alright. just try to get some more freebie casualties here and here. I don't think we're going to be able to catch these, but these brigade. Well, we might, because they are in woods. What are we at here? 20.8%. 2,800 casualties to 553. Still in melee, exhausted. Probably ought to leave him alone. Weird things happen in melee. Even against routed units, Steel could get in some trouble with that low a level of fatigue going into melee. And he's still in melee. He could potentially break. I don't think he will, but it could happen. So let's get all the angst and, oh my god, this game. Let's get all that out of the way. So now we're prepared. If it does happen, let's keep his division commander close. Make sure he keeps that commander nearby buff on him. He's still eager. His morale's not dropping. See if we can get some freebie casualties that way. I don't know if infantry are really fast enough to do that. They're going to have a try at it. Go, Posey, go! And we've already got the major victory. Just whatever we come up with is fine. Ooh. Did that unit disintegrate? I think so. Jumped to 29.5%. I think that brigade is gone. I'm not going to have him go mess with these guys, though. It's in woods. He's tired. That could kind of backfire. Let's just leave... Matter of fact, I'm just going to give him a hawk command. He's still trying to do something. I'm not sure exactly what. Just sit. You've done fine, Steel. Yeah, they had a go at it, but then he kind of went out of range. Try again. You're in open ground now. And your fatigue and cohesion are still good. You can do it. No, maybe not. Yeah, see, they get to their designated position and they're still, and then they're a little bit too far away. But now he's about to try to cross a creek. Maybe that'll slow him down. And then we're going to be in a creek. And I could wind up getting Posey. And now he's facing the wrong way. Screw it. 10x, we're out. 30% casualties. Get out of Virginia. Winfield Scott. All right. We did take a little over 500 casualties. A pretty big chunk of that in the Cav. Somehow lost a gun in there. But he lost all his guns and took quite a few casualties in that rather It must be admitted. Not the best attack ever I've seen from the AI. Let's have a look at... let's see how we'll... that would have been Chambliss Division. 2,500 casualties. Most of which were prisoners. Yeah, that unit disintegrated on him. Two, I think. I think he got the battery, too. You know, I think I'm going to build a POW camp. I know I said earlier in the camp, and I've said this before, too. I said earlier in the campaign I wasn't going to do it, didn't think they were worth it. They're not worth it if you keep building enough so that they don't overcrowd. I don't think that's worth the money. I just don't. Building one? And letting it cram up with thousands and thousands of prisoners in a space intended for 1,000? I don't know. I don't know how big the support penalty is. I'm kind of curious to see now. Okay. Out of this. Heath, famous. Good going, Harry. Yeah, Heath, famous sergeant. I think that was the artillery commander. Okay, so purportedly we captured 2,900 infantry arms and 8 artillery. That looks the same, that looks the same. That looks the same. That looks the same. That may have come up a little bit. I think maybe we captured some 6-pounder field guns. And I don't really keep track of these numbers. So either we're just capturing smoothbore infantry weapons. This has been going on for several battles now. I'm not sure how well these Union troops are equipped. Or I wonder if the weapons capture mechanic is working. I know it has in the past. We've seen bumps in various weapons over the past couple of campaigns that could only have been in captures. It doesn't sound like we're capturing many for the last like 5 or 6 battles now. So I'm kind of... I think the more likely, because I don't really focus on what these Springfield and mixed muskets numbers are. I kind of think this is what we're capturing. Which then begs a question about how well the AI is managing weapons projects and weapons orders. Anyway, okay. So Scott will be retreating soon. Let's have a look at. I know we didn't advance time very much before that battle occurred. How is CSS Virginia's ready? They are at green readiness. Just barely, though. Let's let him get all the way up. He's going to have to fight a bunch of ships by himself, so we'll let that percolate a little bit more. So, I did not realize this battle was happening, but I just had this report pop up that there has been a battle here in the Delaware Bay, and in fact, our Mid-Atlantic blockade fleet has lost and is retreating. My fleet has suffered 2 sunk, including the CSS Beauregard. So, alright. Good job, AI United States Navy. I don't know where he's going. I don't know if I have to tell him to go somewhere. I don't really want to have a completely disintegrated fleet here. Yeah. Okay. Well, at least the repeated battles aren't happening. Let's see what you're... Yeah, beat up. Beat up. But you see other ships not engaged. That's that. I think that's that raid stance at work. Okay. Well, let's just pull you back to... let's just pull you back to Hampton. Get your readiness back up. Get you maybe a couple more ships. So it's very possible that these blockade fleets may be sent packing pretty soon as well. Until they are, they're going to stay blockaded. And yeah, West Virginia militia retreated on back toward West Virginia. I think he's probably still retreating, because this is not showing as a locally Union-controlled IIP here. So I think he's headed back probably to Beverly, maybe to Grafton. We'll see. So they've been sent out of Virginia, or that part of Virginia, anyway. This is all technically still part of Virginia. And let's see, what do we need to do with... let's just bring 3rd Corps... Let's just bring him on back to where he was. I want to make sure we maintain control of this supply depot. And also to have someone in place to pop over to Winchester if needed. And then over in... Let's just have a quick look at the Army of Tennessee. Any change here? Nope, not really. And... so over here, I decided to kind of... So after the battle in the last episode, Army of Indiana actually wasn't hurt too bad in the last battle, but they are still suffering attrition and have some casualties. Army of the Mississippi, yeah, they got beat up pretty bad. They're real low. I had an idea. My idea didn't have these guys in sight. I was just moving Price forward because I wasn't 100% sure there was actually anybody here. I didn't really see which direction they retreated. And I was hoping I could capture this supply depot, which is showing Confederate. His ammunition has improved. He's fine on his rifle ammo, and he's back up to about 50% on artillery. I don't think I want to precipitate another battle, though. Or do I? We've got 18,000 men here, and another 3,100 men here. So, just for a round number, let's just say 22,000. And that we got 18,000. But I don't know if it's going to be... I'm just going to tell him to stop. Order may not get to him in time. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and spend the money on a supply depot. About... Let's bring him up a little closer. Come on up here, Clark. Okay, Buchanan's ready to go. Keep an eye on this. Oh, they're retreating. Nice. Okay. The fact that this was a Confederate supply depot should have been the clue there. Alright, let's keep pursuing them. Because there is actually a lot... No, there's not. They have sucked that one dry. Okay, so he's not gonna, there's not that much to draw on up here, but maybe being over here for a little while will allow this depot to kind of plus back up. Without the constant, constant demand on it. We'll just put Beauregard here. His command radius will extend all the way up here. Not really spoiling for a fight as much as hoping to grab that supply depot. Oh, yeah. Two of those armies have come back up to here. We don't have sight on the Army of Indiana. Okay, we have our funding 2 policy, which is going to enable some more acts. And I did that specifically because I am going to take the Revenue Act 1. It's going to take us a little over 36 days. What I don't want is that increased economic subsidy money. Let's just have a look at the projects first. And let's look at the available... Okay. I think I'm going to hold off on the market reform because I haven't built that many markets. We've got 2 levels in it, so that should be helping those few seaports and the iron mine there at Knoxville. And I haven't looked at the numbers or even really know how to calculate it and what to look for, but my hunch is I don't know if it's worth pouring more money into this. I think I'm just going to hold and slowly build up an improved credit rating. I would be interested in subsidizing banks if I had more banks, but I just have one. So I'm not sold that this is a great idea. Bottom line is I don't need to be just jamming as much econ subsidies as I can. I went for Government 3 primarily to unlock acts rather than the actual subsidy money. So I'm going to go in here into the finances. We're at 12.5 now, which means we were at about... I'm not sure this is updated. I think actually we were already at... Let's set time run a second. I'm not sure if this is the old number or the new number, since we haven't actually advanced time since the policy hit. Okay. There's a supply depot building here. I'd like to catch sight of another supply depot building to tell me where the Army of Indiana is. They've been slippery buggers recently, haven't they? Where is the Army of Indiana? I think price is okay here, though. Yeah, he's drawing supply from here. He's drawing supply from the other depot. So hopefully that lets the Springfield depot kind of recover a little bit. He's already got a little bit more artillery ammo. And they might slip around back here and grab it. If that happens, well, we'll just come back down. Maintain our, you know, fight in Missouri, not in Arkansas idea. Okay. Engineers. Build. You know what? I don't want to spend the money on it. I just don't. It's about 5 million. We've dropped credit rating again. Not going to do it. Okay, that ran for about a day. Yeah, that was the old number. We're up to 25 million now. So I'm going to drop this down to about 10. It's actually a little bit lower than what it was before. Let's drop it to 8. I do want some to continue to come in because eventually I do want to have that improved credit rating in my back pocket if I need it. We've got about, what do we have in? I thought I would hover over this and it would tell me what we actually have in the... So we've got about 1.5 million available. And I think that the project for improved credit rating takes 10 million. All right. So we're looking at about a year before this would be available. Like April or May of 1863. Okay, so what's, you know what? Off. I'm just not doing any more economy subsidies. I mean, I gotta pile another 8 million. You know, let's get this number down instead. So this number reflects the new 25 million. So this is gonna bump our subsidies down to 63 million, which will be the lowest it's been in a while. That's got to help the credit rating. I do want more agriculture coming in. I'm not going to zero this, but I'm going to bring this down to about 8. I want to keep industry going. I want to keep military going. And and I'm going to keep diplomacy going. But those changes should bring us down to about 60 million here. That's got to help. And then the Revenue Act will help as well. I don't remember if we get 5% or 10% income tax. It's probably 5%. All right. All right, so I'm happy with Price's position, kind of where he is at the moment. Not going to build that supply depot here. Don't want to spend the money. Not only do I not want to spend the money on the depot, I don't want to spend the money on filling the darn thing up either. Okay. And I think things are quiet for Virginia again. Yeah. So Scott's over here at Beverly. That's fine. That was Union before. Let's get Third Corps back in defensive mode. And that leaves CSS Virginia. Let's see how you do against the blockade fleet. I really don't know how this is going to go. Could be fantastic. Could be unmitigated disaster. Let's find out. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Not yet. Not yet. I don't want this scout run getting pulled in to the battle. So he's already in defensive mode, but let's just scram him out of here. Not this direction. Yeah, that direction. I don't know if that's far enough. Alright, Virginia, go. Stick 'em. Not going to be very fast. Virginia only goes 6 knots. On a good day, with a tailwind, going downhill. There we go. Okay. Uh-oh. Game seems to think we're going to get our butt kicked. I wonder if it was a bad idea to give them all these escorts. Because they're just going to get wrecked. My idea was it would mitigate some fire coming in on Virginia, but it may degrade the readiness of the fleet so much that it could backfire. If this doesn't work, next experiment will be just sending her by herself. Yeah, we're getting... Well, we sank something. Ooh. What is that? Come on, tooltip. Oh, I can't get a... I don't know what kind of ship that is. It just says ship was sunk. But that looks like that's a pretty substantial ship there. Alright. So all of our escorts are just getting wrecked. And that's okay. I won't have to spend money on them. Well, I gotta spend money to fix them, I guess. We are hitting them pretty good. Even if this turns out to be a failure. I mean, here's a... That's a bark. Okay. Maybe not as big as I thought. Alright, so all the cannon fodder is in fact sunk or disabled. Under fire, yeah. It says ram, but I think that's primarily because she's the one doing the ramming. Yeah, Niagara's definitely in bad shape there. That's a steam frigate. This steam frigate is... Uh-oh. Oh, somebody came back. Donaldson, back from wounded. I had kind of forgotten that he was wounded. Okay, I don't know if Virginia's going to win, but I don't think this fleet's still going to be blockading when this is done, either. Pensacola, that's a steam frigate down to 35%. Keep going, Buchanan. Needle's starting to kind of shift back toward the red, too. Yeah, it was superfluous to add all these ships. Yeah, it may have helped a little bit. Okay, French messing around in Mexico. Okay, now we're making some real progress. That's a steam frigate disabled. And this is a brig. Well, that's just a brig. Their other steam frigate is running away, 35%. What is this? That's a bark. There you go! Glorious victory at Cedar Key. Well done, CSS Virginia. We did have some little crappy ships sunk. Brigs. 2 ships captured. One of which I think is pretty good. And are we going to get the recurring never-ending battles here? No, they're actually moving. Good deal. I don't want these guys to get engaged later. I'm just going to pop them back into port here. Alright, Cedar Key no longer in our readiness does suck. So, in you go. Time for some Ironclad repairing. And let's get those, yeah, let's get all this crap out of... Just get them out of the fleet. With that, I believe the Gulf of Mexico coast is completely clear of blockade at the moment. Let's send this... I'm going to send this scouting squadron over here. I didn't build one here because that fleet might be sitting right here and immediately engage them as soon as they form. So we're going to send a scout squadron over here to get eyes on this Galveston fleet. And then I'm going to send this other little scout run. It's kind of here to the mouth of the river. Maybe about here. Just to get eyes on... I think there's still a Union fleet sitting here not doing anything. We saw it earlier. I just want to see if he's still there and what his status is. So we're down to only 3 ports blockaded, and that is Charleston, Savannah, and Port Royal by this fleet here. And at some point, either CSS Virginia and or the battle squadron currently repairing at Wilmington is going to come take care of these guys. And I think that's a fine spot to end this episode. Chase some guys out of Virginia. Didn't really have a fight, but we're kind of holding things together supply-wise. In Missouri, cleared the Gulf Coast of blockade. Ironclad got in action. I think that's a good episode. If you like what we're doing with the channel, If you like this content, then leave a like, leave a comment, maybe even subscribe if you are so inclined. If you're new to the channel, new to the series, and you want to catch up on what's been going on in this campaign, then I'm linking the playlist right here, so you can go back and catch up on those other episodes. At any rate, thank you very, very much for watching. I appreciate it.